Hi there, and welcome back to insidetracks.co.uk, the YouTube channel and website that tries to help you to trade smarter. If you do like the videos that I do, please subscribe and like, or comment on something that isn't right, or whatever. Make any comments you like. Good feedback, bad feedback. I accept them all and try and get better. So what is it that we're going to do today? Well, I've been asked a question about laying a horse in order to back it in the future, and when should you do that? Obviously, most people know who have followed this channel. If you haven't, I tend to be quite a big fan of back to lay, and I look for certain criteria that give me the right idea as to why I should be backing a horse, and why that horse should either shortened before the race or generally in running. And normally that is because of some kind of advantage that the horse has. Either it's a front runner, it's inside drawn, one of the other things goes on. So why would you then use a strategy of lay to back? Well, it's common sense, of course, but I've been asked to do this, so if you feel it's trying to help you to suck eggs, then please stop now. But hopefully you'll gain a little bit if you stay on. The whole point here is it's exactly the opposite to what you might find in a back to lay. So a horse is too short in the betting for one or other reasons, in your opinion. So, for instance, a horse that is used to being held up at the back in a race where we can clearly show that front runners have an advantage would, generally speaking, lengthen in running, and therefore give you the opportunity to lay it before the race and then back it in running to get your liability covered, and therefore make money. So when would you use a lay to back? Well, when you consider that the horse that you're looking at is too short in the betting. Now, I do this for you in my newsletter, which you can sign up to on the website, insidetracks.co.uk. I put a section down there of back to lays, of naps, of place value, where I see place value, and I also do one where I call it false favourites or too short in the betting. And those false favourites and too short in the betting, I believe, offer you the opportunity to do a lay to back. So let's just go through a quick one so that you see what is going on. So here's an example of where I believe you can find horses for one specific reason, and this is one of the reasons that you would be looking at a horse being too short, is that it's been tipped by Hugh Taylor of At the Racing. Now, there are other tipsters out there who also give tips where you can look and see whether the result of that tipping has an effect. But one of the reasons why Hughes does is because he releases them via his Twitter feed onto At the Races at specific times. So he'll tell you at 9:12 on his Twitter feed that he's going to be releasing his first tip, and then 5 minutes later it's released up here. So he gets a lot of pent-up demand. People see his Twitter feed, come onto At the Races, and as soon as this first tip is up, which is called What Will Be, the 8:45 in Northampton, there's a whole load of his followers from Twitter who will be then jumping on that horse. Now, you can tell that's the case because he also gives you his best bets, and in the 8:25, What Will Be, he's saying the best price you can get is 5-1 on Betfair, Paddy Power, and then also 9-2 generally. You can also see only a few minutes, we're 9:58, so it's only half an hour later, and those odds have come in considerably. Now, what we need to do is basically see why that is. So we'll go to the race card, and we'll see now that instead of being 5-1, What Will Be is vying for favoritism. And one thing we need to do is to then go into Betfair and see what's happened. So here we are, we've gone into Betfair, and we have what will be it's a Kieran Schumacher, jockey, and we can then go into the chart and see what happens with the chart. So we go into the chart, and we can see here clearly this is when Hugh is looking at the horse, and this is about time when he sent out the tip about half an hour ago, and what you're seeing is it's gone from around about 8 or so there would be a little bit of money around about 8 in this area here. So he would have given his tip somewhere around about here, 7.8 maybe, and then his crew will have got on board. It's only what? How much is that money? 30, 50, 60, 260 plus 70, 330 quid has made the price go from somewhere at like 7.8 down into its current price of 4.7. So that's a major change from a very, very small amount of money. And my opinion is that this horse has no reason why it should be, from one tipster and 330 quid, gone down, three points, almost halved in its price. So my opinion here is that this horse is far too short. So what I would say is I'll go for 4.9, and I'll be saying I'll take as much as I can out of the marketplace on this one. I'll take 10 out of that, and hopefully I'll encourage some money to come in. And I've got £5. I've got £10 at 5. I'll probably get the 4.9 as well. So I'll have 20 quid on there, which is fine. 20 quid will give me the opportunity when it goes out to 7.8. So if I take that, I will have a liability of £79. Excuse me for that. If I have a liability of £79, then that will be easily covered by a bet at 7.8. So if I put 7.8 in there, which is what I think this will go down to, then what do we have to spend to get £79? Well, it's not a lot. 12. There you go. So I can make £8 relatively straightforwardly if this horse goes back out to just the price it was before. See, it's greening up there. So maybe £13, £12.50, something like that. Generally speaking, I could well easily go in here with, well, you go, we've got the £20 on. I could well go in there with significantly more money than that, and make 20 or 30 pounds before the start of the race, because I do believe it will drift out, and certainly potentially will drift out in running. So that's just an example of now I've laid it. I will be looking to cover that liability before the off, hopefully. If not, I'll cover that liability in running at the 7.8, which I think is about the right price. If I see it coming in dramatically or drastically from this price, which I don't think will happen, but if it does come in dramatically, then I'll just cash out. I might take a very small loss, but that is what you do with back to lays and with later backs. If you see it going the wrong way, then don't hold on to it, cash out. But that's not what I expect to happen here. So that's one example of where I believe there is a later back. I'll give you some others. So when else would you think about implementing a later back strategy? Well, there are quite a few reasons, and you need to do your research. But again, as I say, I give these horses the ones that I think are far too short. based on quite a lot of these factors. But you can do it for yourself. So when you see a short-priced horse that's poorly drawn, so it's in a 12-runner field and it's right on the outside draw, say at third go 5, then it's got a major problem. I give you another example in my videos, which is over 1 mile 4 furlongs, the Derby trip at Epsom. Being drawn 1 is a really poor draw, and therefore if you see a short price favourite in a 12-15 runner field over 1 mile 4 at Epsom, and they're drawn in 1, then you can implement a later back strategy. So there's a couple of examples, but look out for your draw, and if the horse is poorly drawn, then it will be at a disadvantage, and if it's short price, then that needs to be factored in. The horse is a hold-up horse in a race where front runners are favoured. Again, go to the website, you'll find all the courses where I highlight the distances and courses where front runners are favoured. If you find that yours is a hold-up horse, and that's its normal running style, and it's in a race where, for instance, Chester, the horse is a hold-up horse, then often they have great deal of difficulty getting through, particularly if it's a decent sized field, getting through the field because of the corners. And it favours, Chester favours front runners because they don't have that problem. So again, hold up horse in a decent sized field at Chester, particularly if it's drawn wide, again, that's the draw coming in, then if it's a short price, it shouldn't be a short price because it's got a lot of things to get over. A lot of the reasons for a horse taken to win. So if we say, oh look, it's going up in trip, it's on ground that's never ridden on, it's never run on before, blah 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 blah. All these things. We're taking it on trust that the horse will improve. It will run on a poor surface. Blah 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 blah. Then actually you are taking a lot of things on trust, and that's the reason to lay a horse, because quite a lot of the time they don't deliver. The horse is very inexperienced. Okay, it's probably similar to the one above, but if you have a first-time out horse, unless it's got an amazing pedigree and it's up against very little, and the betting is with it, then I don't go for it. In that situation, if you have got a horse who's very inexperienced, do watch the betting as it drifts. That's the time to lay, to look to back, because that's the professional money in the last 10 and 5 minutes coming in and telling you that they watched it on the gallops and it's not as good as it might or should be, or not as ready for the racetrack. Then you've got the jockey and or trainer combination have a poor record at the track. So look at the stats. You can find those quite easily online. Look for does the jockey do well at the track? Does the trainer do well at the track? If they both don't, if the jockey's got a 2% record at the track and the trainer's got a 4% record at the track, then if it's got the red hot favourite, you probably want to be laying that favourite and looking at backing in running. And the jockey and trainer are on the cold list, so you can find that in the newspaper Racing Post, for instance. The cold list, you can find it online as well, which jockeys haven't won for a long time, and that's purely a matter of the fact that when jockeys and trainers are on the cold list, they've either got something wrong with their string, they're not in good form, and there can be a lot of reasons for that you don't know about. They've got a cough in the yard, whatever. But actually, they should obviously be treated as if they're not on form. And if you have somebody not on form, then you don't tend to back them as if they are fully on form. I mean, at the moment, I'll give you an example. At the moment, one of the teams that has got a low confidence in the Premier League, and we're talking about 2019 October, is Tottenham. And very good team, got good coach, but right at the moment, everybody's going, are they going to beat the next team? Are they going to beat? And Manchester United, by the way, is exactly the same. Manchester United, you'd think is a great team. Normally, you'd back them. They're great team, great pass, great everything. But at the moment, you couldn't back them to beat Accrington Stanley, because they have no confidence. So when you have the same with a trainer and jockey, that's the time to say, okay, if they're red hot favourites, then they shouldn't be, because there's something not going right for them, and therefore they're not worth backing at those low prices. Now, there are other reasons why you use a later back strategy. Later back can be used when you are actually following a race. Before the race, the last 10 minutes or so of betting, and you see a horse that is has broken out of its corridor of backing. So sometimes a horse will have very steady backing and laying, say at fours, and then 5 minutes before the race goes, it goes 4.1, 4.2, 4.4, 4.6, and it starts being well and truly laid by the professionals. Then you could use a later back strategy, because they're telling you there's no confidence in this horse. And if the professionals tell you that 5 minutes before the race, then generally speaking, it continues to drift in running in the first part of the race. So it gives you an opportunity to either grab some profit before the race, or make some money in running. Remember, very, very important, and this is really something that you have to be very aware of. Later back is a very different strategy to back to lay. It is the reverse strategy, but it's very different, and it's very different in this way. The completely the obvious thing to say here is that when you lay a horse, if I put £20 to lay on, as we just did earlier on in this video, my liability was £79. So I have a liability here which is not £20, it's £79. So it's very, very important when you're in a later back strategy that you are very diligent, because you're not just going to lose your £20 stake, you're going to lose your liability. So you want to make sure that you cover your liability at some point, because otherwise this can be a very costly strategy. Albeit that it can be a very successful one. Okay, so that's really where we are. Please subscribe and like if you do, and or comment on what you've seen, and give me some of your knowledge and expertise, so I can include it in future videos. I wish you the very best of luck. Don't do anything that you can't afford to do. Only bet what you can afford to lose. But hopefully this video will help you to make a few quid. Okay, cheers then. Bye-bye.